Man, I've seen a lot of people who I respect talking about this, and I want to go ahead and give my take on this as well, because I think that this is terrible. Now, let me go ahead and give you a bit of backstory. So, I am a gaming enthusiast, not just a person who likes playing video games, but a person that likes digging into the history of gaming, the way that games are created, the art design, the stories of how that they've been put together. Hell, while I was at the gym, I was listening to a 2.5-hour documentary on the history of Resident Evil 1.5 and all of the different hands that found itself in as that demo and as that like low percentage build of that game floated around. I have watched a fucking 8.5-hour long documentary on the Bomberman series. I love video games, and I love digging into video game things a ton. I like looking at the fucking wireframes for the games that I play so I can see what little ledges I can step on that the developers never intended. By the way, if you've ever watched me play World of Warcraft Classic, you've seen me do this shit. You've seen me jump on ledges that don't exist, but I certainly have used them to move around because that's just a thing that I like doing. I love learning about the nitty-gritty ins and outs. Okay, cool. Now that that's all established, one of the aspects of this is the art direction that is intended for any game that you are watching, for any game that you care about. So let me show you something really interesting. So everybody here is likely familiar in some way, shape, or form with this model. This looks like it's a recreation, but this is the model for Mario from Super Mario 64. And yeah, this is definitely a recreation because I can see that there's reflection on this part of the model that isn't supposed to be here. So a cool thing about this is that there's actually very little texture work that's going on here. Textures that exist on this model. These two buttons are textures. This mustache is a texture, and these eyes and this M is a texture. And then, of course, that's basically it. Everything else about this model is what is called a linked primitive. It is quite literally just a bunch of polygons, or a singular polygon in some cases, that has been thrown in and hit with the equivalent of the paint bucket tool. No actual texture work was done. And the reason that no texture work was done was it was an optimization choice for Mario 64. It was a very, very important choice in the game, in the design of that game, so that it can run at a smooth frame rate because the Nintendo 64 was working with 4 megabytes of RAM. Every single part of how this model was created is built to be 1 part function, 1 part form. Sorry, I forgot the hair right here is also a texture. But the majority of this is quite literally untextured polygons because that took up less data. And this thing moves really fluidly if you've ever played Mario 64. This is the kind of stuff that I find fascinating because you can see so much of the intentionality behind a game's design when you look at its old models, when you look at the things that were made for that game. Here's another model, similarly built. This is the model for Banjo from Banjo and Kazooie. And like the Mario model, there's very little texture work done here. In fact, this area right here that you would consider maybe is differently textured, it's not. There's just a fucking paint gradient thrown onto another polygon. And this is so that Banjo-Kazooie can run at a smooth frame rate. And if you've ever played Banjo-Tooie, you know what happens when you try upping the poly count of any of this shit. There's very little texture work, there's very low polygon counts, all of that is intentional. Now, that's the kind of stuff that I find fucking fascinating. So, side effect of all of that. Game developers long ago have gotten past the point where they need to make those kinds of decisions to make a model work. Famously, the model for Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil 8 has more polygons in her ass than most games on the Nintendo 64 have in their entire fucking code. We've reached a point where developers don't optimize their games anymore. They just release an 80 to 100 gigabyte mess of something that we are supposed to just accept. This kind of started with Call of Duty, right? Where Call of Duty came out and suddenly we had like 100 gigabyte patches and people had to start buying extra hard drives for their fucking consoles in order to actually play their game. So what happens when you go a step further than that? How many of you in chat have tried to buy pieces for a gaming PC lately? How many of you? Because if you have seen the prices of RAM skyrocket, and you've seen the prices of video cards skyrocket. Video cards, a good video card used to run you about $200 to $300 for what was available recently. Now, there's video cards that you can get that are considered best on the market, and they're like fucking $4,000. Why? Cryptocurrency and AI. Same thing with RAM. Why did RAM go from I can get 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM for $100 to $400? AI. Hell, even Crucial stopped selling its RAM to consumers, and they have started selling their RAM exclusively to AI fucking data farms. This has caused the market to have less inventory for us to use, and it has caused the market to balloon the prices of all of these things that we need to a huge degree. Insane that we live in a time where this is considered normal. Once upon a time, the argument that you would give for PC gaming was that $500 to $600 could get you a pretty decent gaming PC, and that would build you something that was good enough to run most things of either late last gen or low performance mode for current gen shit. Now, we get Monster Hunter Wilds coming out with no optimization whatsoever. We get Resident Evil Requiem, good as that game is, much as I love that game, coming out with no actual optimization at all built in, so that its cutscenes fucking stutter in a way that there's no real reason for them to. So, what is this all leading up to? What does, here's old N64 models, and here's the cool ways developers use to optimize their stuff to make games work in an environment where we would consider them completely impossible to run, versus today, where we just don't give a shit about optimization at all. Also, Dorito is trying to get me to click a link here. I will go ahead and click the link here. Helldivers 2 new slim version saves 131 gigabytes of space on your drive. Yay! I'm so happy that at least one fucking developer has decided to make an optimized version of their game. Wow, that's so rare. If it asks me again to sign up for the website, I am going to find a developer and I am going to throw an N64 model at them. Depending on which one I choose, it has sharp edges. That said, Nvidia wants you to be excited about this shit. So here's Grace Ashcroft. Now, those of you who have watched me play Resident Evil Requiem, you've seen this character. Or maybe you didn't because I played it in first-person mode on stream, but still, you have seen this character. DLSS5 off. DLSS5 on. So, does anybody notice some weird things? First of all, with the DLSS5 off, Grace looks perfectly natural. This is the artist's intent behind the character. Did you know that Capcom, when developing Grace's model, specifically had to borrow technology from another game that they are developing right now? I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one where there's the girl who's with a robot or some shit, who's got really long hair, and one of the selling points is that the hair is like super silky and realistic. Grace's hair technology was taken, Pragmata. There we go, Pragmata. Grace's hair technology was actually lifted from Pragmata. This is a game that was in development since 2019 and went through several iterations where so much of the game's art design, so much of the game's texture work, so much of the game's environment was informed by the technology Capcom was co-developing and the user response to games like the Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remakes. When you do this, when you put this stupid fucking filter here, does it look nicer? I don't think it looks any nicer, honestly, between the two. I don't think this looks any better or worse, other than the fact that the other face there, that isn't the artist's intent. That isn't what the artist wanted when they developed this model. This is not what they drew. This is not their texture work. This is not their model work. This is not the work of the actress who played Grace Ashcroft. This is a fucking filter. Yeah, with higher contrast. Whether or not you think it looks better, ask yourself something. Is it worth having to spend an extra $3,000 fucking dollars on a piece of hardware that completely shits on whatever the artist's intent for the project was? I don't think so. Dorita says, have you talked about the current hardware requirements for DLSS5? Yeah, if you want to build a fucking $4,000 computer, it's not even enough to run it. DLSS5? Do you know what they did to run DLSS5 on this shit? They had two 5090s running. Two! That's $8,000 worth of fucking graphics card just so that you can have this stupid Yas filter on your character. And it doesn't make her look better. Even if it did make her look better, that's not the game you bought anymore. That's something completely different. And you're supposed to be excited that you get to spend way more money than you could even fucking fathom to earn on this. This is an advertisement on IGN's website. This is something that Nvidia wants you to get excited about. Soccer says, so they have 2 electrical fire risks instead of 1 in the computer. Yeah. Also that you can get a filter on your game that, by the way, if you really wanted this kind of filter on your game, if you really needed this desperately, guess what? I guarantee you there is some modder out there who can achieve this with way less of a hardware requirement. I've had a tinfoil hat on for a while about the games industry, and one of the reasons that they do not optimize their games when they are making things for current gen hardware, my tinfoil hat has been that they specifically do not optimize things because they want to encourage sales in the PC hardware market. I picked up a 4070 last year. There is no world in which I should have to replace that next year. Getting a current gen video card is usually supposed to be something that you can sit on for 5 to 10 years. There's a reason we have the term future-proofing for our hardware. And yet, as I was elaborating on earlier, it used to be that the argument for getting a gaming PC was that you could build it for about the price of whatever the current console on market was, and then you get access to Steam and emulation and sales and all kinds of stuff where games would be cheaper and you have a better modding environment and you have options on what controllers you want to run and you don't have to pay monthly for online services. It used to be that you had all of these advantages for playing on PC, but now if you want to build a PC that can run current gen games, what is the argument for a gaming PC in 2026? I'm just curious. What is the fucking argument for one? Because if I can go and pay $450 for a Switch 2, which gives me the ability to have a portable system that can play current gen games, I can play Resident Evil Requiem on the fucking Switch 2. What is the argument for me getting a gaming PC when I can do that? What is the benefit anymore? For me specifically, I have to have one for my job. But like, if I were just a random Joe Schmo, what's the argument for me being in the PC race at all? What? Real quick. So here's Leon. So this is Leon as he is portrayed in Resident Evil Requiem, right? Here is Leon as he's portrayed by the Yas filter. There's a lot of weird things here, if you notice. For one, that's not even the same fucking guy anymore. I'm sorry. That's not the same chin between those two characters anymore. That is not the same person. Why is this worth me spending $8,000? Also, they turned a light on him. That's another strange thing here. The lighting decisions that were made from the artistic department, those lighting decisions were made not in a vacuum. Those lighting decisions were made by an artist that wanted a specific feeling for this scene. And when you light up Leon like this, it doesn't look like he's in the night anymore. Why? So in this scene, he's supposed to be pulling up to the sanitarium that Grace is currently trapped in, and there's very, very low lighting. There's the little bit of lighting that's being cast from the actual sanitation ward, and then there's a little bit of street lamp around, but that's about it. Blowing up the fucking lighting on his face here, what does that accomplish? Why is that worth $8,000? Why is that worth $8,000? DLSS5 off, DLSS5 on. Oh, wow, you can see more wrinkles that weren't there. That was not what the original artist drew. That was not how they textured that character. That was not how they wanted that character to look. But you can certainly add a bunch more wrinkles to the character that aren't there originally. More stuff from Hogwarts Legacy. Like, sure, the game might look a little less blurry, but this is what $8,000 of double video cards get you guys. DLSS5 on. So she became the shitty mobile puzzle game granny? You can pay $8,000 so that everything gets AI face. That's the other thing. The technology that's being utilized to make this is generative AI technology. So this is technology that has gathered the majority of its data by scraping the internet without anybody having the ability to consent to their artwork being scraped, so that we can sell you video cards at quadruple and sometimes even 8 times the price that they would have been just a couple years ago. And on top of quadrupling those prices for the same fucking technology that we're handing you, we are also going to be taking all of the art assets that we stole so that we can put a fucking gloss filter over your character models. Aren't you guys happy? Don't you guys like that? Isn't that what you wanted? Isn't that what you wanted to pay all that extra money for? Starfield, we see a character who is talking, and now, I'm sorry, but this character here does not look dead. This character here looks kinda dead. You know the weird AI face when you see, like, videos that have been generated on Sawara, where characters look like they're giving you the 5,000-yard stare, but they're also making eye contact? That weird, that weird area of the uncanny valley, that's what's happening here with Starfield. I'm sure there's somebody that prefers this art direction specifically, but that's not what the original artist built. That's not what they wanted that to be there. And we already had mods if you wanted to change the artwork in your game. And they didn't cost you another several $1,000s to run. Said, and the fact that DLSS turns people white. Jesus Christ. It just makes everything look like it's on Sora. Like, that's all it is. Said, Vash has been really pushing the money to be there being evil makes you look ugly. This is proof. Dorita says, Bethesda made Starfield. There's absolutely mods for this. It just works, Todd Howard. It just works. Said, gave her all the lighting except in her eyes. Bagozi says, to be fair, Starfield was shitty to begin with. Regardless of whatever your thoughts on Starfield were, there is somebody that designed this. There is somebody's hard work that is currently getting painted over. And the price that you are paying to get somebody's hard work painted over is several $1,000s and a giant gatekeeping over the gaming market now. Nettie Goblin says, look at the footballer in the next example. It visibly changes his skin tone. Really? Okay. So he just changed fucking nationalities. What? That's just a different fucking race. What? It can't even keep people consistent to the fucking skin color that they had. Dorita says, bro went from Hispanic to Egyptian? Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, it literally looked at a mixed guy and said, you need 20% more melanin, and just Whoop. Guys, you know how conservatives freak the fuck out about black people making their way into our video games and our fucking movies and shit, and that suddenly means that, like, Western civilization is collapsing? This has to be what they meant, right? Like, it literally just added more melanin to their skin. Is this the DEI? Is this the DEI that I was supposed to be looking at? Is this the DEI right here? It said, did it add tattoos to the guy on the right in the back? No, he had them before. You can see them pretty clearly between the two of them. Wait a minute, it also changes this guy's fucking hair. Okay, look how thin his hair is in this shot. They literally just spray painted in his hair right there. Pernias has noticed that they're only showing human characters. This stuff breaks with monsters. Think of all of the weird ways that AI technology breaks when you try to generate anything of worth. This is going to be doing the same fucking shit. There are going to be people on Reddit who are freaking the fuck out about their brand new video games that they bought looking like horse shit. And the very first comment repeatedly is going to be, turn DLSS5 off. Just turn it off. It'll fix it, trust me. Your game will look better if we just get rid of the fucking DLSS thing. You're paying thousands of dollars for this, by the way. The entire PC gaming industry is affected by this. Isn't that fantastic? Doesn't that make you so happy? Jesus fucking Christ. I want to see what the comments say in here. So an AI filter. Yeah, a fucking AI filter. That's what you're spending extra thousands of dollars for. We lost RAM and solid-state drives for this. Notice no fast camera movement or action scenes are being shown. Yeah, because it would just be a blurry fucking mess. Ah, yes, I love to play my games with the Skinwalker filter. The T-virus makes you look better than whatever this filter does. Oh my god. Computer, ignore all creative decisions and make everyone shiny. I wish I had read these before I started here. April 1st is 2 weeks. You're a little early. Gaming is evolving, but backwards. Yeah, no. Just, guys, you know what's cool about capitalism? Capitalism as a system does not incentivize anyone to create a product that is good for you. It merely has to create a marketing solution that convinces you that a product is what you want. And this is a prime example of that. This is one of the heights of corporate greed for no reason. Nobody is gaining anything out of this except for fucking corpos. Doritos says, Suris, unironically, this is an attempt to move to own nothing and be happy. They want to do cloud computing where you pay $40 a month instead of owning a PC capable of doing this on its own. Yeah, and that pisses me the fuck off. I want to own my things. I want to own my shit. It's so weird that a whole bunch of fucking anti-socialists and anti-communists go on and on and on about personal property and right to ownership and all that shit and how great that is under capitalism, and yet that exact same system is doing everything in its power to incentivize you owning absolutely fucking nothing and having a subscription service to all of it. Jesus fucking Christ. Don't buy this shit. Don't let these video cards, when they come out, rot in a fucking landfill. I do not think voting with your dollars works generally, but I also don't think we should be financially incentivizing these people to operate like this. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.